On this vote, the yeas are 60 and the nays are 40. 3/5 of the Senate duly chosen and sworn having voted in the affirmative. The motion upon reconsideration is agreed to.
After 40 days of gridlock, the longest shutdown in American history may finally be ending. Late Sunday night, the US Senate voted 60-40 to move forward on a funding bill, breaking a Democratic filibuster that had blocked progress for weeks. 8 moderate Democrats joined Republicans to push the bill through, marking the first real breakthrough since the government ran out of money on 1st of October. The deal was to reopen the government now and promise a separate vote in December on healthcare subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. Those subsidies, first introduced in 2021, helped millions of Americans afford health insurance. Democrats had refused to fund the government without an extension of those subsidies. But on Sunday, 8 Democrats, led by Senator Angus King, agreed to move ahead with only a promise of a later vote. The compromise will reopen the government through the end of January and fund food aid, veterans programs, and the legislative branch until the end of the fiscal year. The shutdown began on October 1st after senators failed to agree on spending priorities. Democrats demanded an extension of the subsidies that cut health insurance costs for 24 million Americans. Republicans said the issue could wait, and without those votes, the government ran out of funds. Since then, thousands of federal workers were furloughed. Food aid was frozen, and air travel began to collapse. Across the United States, the impact has been severe. More than 750,000 federal employees went unpaid. Air traffic controllers stopped showing up to work, leading to over 2,700 flight cancellations and nearly 10,000 delays in one day. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warned that if the shutdown continued, air travel could slow to a trickle by Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, 42 million Americans relying on food aid saw their benefits threatened after the Supreme Court paused lower courts' orders to release funds. Not everyone in the Democratic Party supported the compromise. Progressive senators like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders called it a mistake, saying Democrats gave up their main demand for affordable health care.
Tonight, 8 Democrats voted with the Republicans to allow them to go forward on this continuing resolution. And to my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. What it does, first of all, is it raises healthcare premiums for over 20 million Americans by doubling, and in some cases tripling or quadrupling. People can't afford that when we're already paying the highest prices in the world for healthcare. Number 2, it paves the way for 15 million people to be thrown off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Studies show that will mean that some 50,000 Americans will die every year unnecessarily. And all of that was done to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. As everybody knows, just on Tuesday, we had an election all over this country. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism, to his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted, but tonight, that is not what happened.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer also opposed the deal, saying a vague promise of a future vote wasn't enough. But moderates like Tim Kaine argued the shutdown had dragged on too long and that reopening the government was the only way to protect workers and federal services. Tim Kaine said, federal employees can now go through the holidays without worrying they'll be laid off at 5 a.m. The bill now moves to the House of Representatives, which must pass the same package before it goes to President Donald Trump's desk. That process could take several days, as any senator can still delay the vote. If the House approves it, the government will reopen through January 31st. Federal workers will be reinstated and receive back pay. States that use their own money to keep federal programs running will be compensated. President Trump told reporters, "It looks like we are getting very close to the shutdown ending."
Looks like we're getting very close on the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon.
He has continued to criticize the subsidies, calling them a windfall for health insurance companies. Trump says he wants direct payments to individuals instead. a move Democrats say would cut the Affordable Care Act and allow insurers to deny coverage for pre-existing conditions. Even so, Trump's allies say he stood firm by refusing to negotiate while the government was closed. The 40-day shutdown has already become a political test for both sides. Democrats are divided between progressives who wanted to keep fighting and centrists who wanted to end the pain. Republicans are dealing with their own internal rifts, and the party is on unclear stance on healthcare. The outcome may shape both parties heading into the 2026 midterm elections. If the House passes the measure and Trump signs it, federal offices will finally reopen this week. Workers will get their paychecks, airlines will resume full operations, and food assistance will restart across the country. But the fight over healthcare subsidies, the issue that started it all, is only postponed, not resolved.
Been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.